Mr. Chairman, I rise to claim time in opposition to this amendment.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I yield myself as much time as I may consume. As the only physicist in the U.S. Congress, I feel a special responsibility to speak out on the importance of strengthening our global nuclear security architecture. At a time when it's more important than ever for the security of the United States to reinforce international norms against nuclear testing, we are here debating an amendment that would restrict the ability of a key international institution to monitor nuclear weapons, and in fact is designed to undercut prospects for either eventual ratification or even continued adherence to the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. The Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization Preparatory Commission is tasked with establishing a verification regime to monitor compliance with the comprehensive ban on nuclear explosive testing. If enacted, this amendment would send the wrong signal to the world, deliberately risking an opening for the resumption of unrestricted nuclear testing by many nations on Earth, which would be a national security disaster for the United States. During the debate on the Iran nuclear agreement, I received more than a dozen classified briefings, many of them individual classified briefings by our weapons experts who supported the negotiating team. And at that time, I spent a lot of time putting myself in the place of a terrorist or a proliferating nation. And I came to understand the overwhelming technical advantage that the United States possesses today over both other nuclear states and any potential proliferation state, because we conducted more than 1,000 nuclear tests from 1945 to 1992, more than all other countries on Earth combined. Many of those tests were extensively instrumented and have provided us with the ability to accurately computer model and evaluate the performance of nuclear weapons without the risk to safety and to the environment. And this is why no official of the Department of Energy, Department of Defense, or any other of our nuclear laboratories have ever called for a resumption of nuclear testing or an unsigning or deprecation of the CTBT. Because the moment that other nations begin or resume testing, we lose that crucial advantage. It seems very odd to me that my Republican colleagues would want other nuclear or non-nuclear states to obtain intellectual property and parity in this matter. Although under this amendment, the direct funding for the international monitoring system would nominally remain unscathed, it is difficult to imagine that a significant reduction in U.S. technical and financial support to the CTBTO would not adversely affect the organization's ability to maintain and operate any nuclear monitoring system. The proposed amendment also seeks to undermine the U.S. obligation as a signatory not to conduct nuclear test explosions. If the United States unilaterally declares itself exempt, then other countries are very likely to do the same. In addition, contrary to what the amendment implies, UN Security Council Resolution 2310 does not impose any new obligations on the United States. Nothing is mandatory in the UN resolution. But repudiating support for the resolution could trigger bad faith in other nations around the world and reduce U.S. legitimacy and leverage that ensures other countries do not test nuclear weapons. So we should not signal any intention that the United States encourages a return to a more hostile nuclear environment, an environment in which the United States does not condemn nuclear weapons testing, but rather gives away our position as a country that seeks peace and prosperity for our future. We have an opportunity to turn political rhetoric into concrete action to curb the global proliferation of nuclear weapons and secure the safety of future generations. And from a national security point of view, we must acknowledge that the CTBT locks in an enormous competitive advantage for the United States, one that it would be a huge mistake to begin throwing away. And although the CTBT failed to be ratified by a handful of votes the first time it came up in 1999, as George Shultz, the Secretary of State under President Reagan, said, you could say that a senator might have been right to vote against the CTBT when it was first put forward in 1999 and right to vote for it now. Why? Because things have changed. And what he meant by that is that stockpile stewardship works and that the detection system, both that is maintained by the United States and by the world communities, by the CTBTO, works as well. And so short of ratification, the U.S. support for the Preparatory Commission remains essential. I urge my colleagues to vote no on the Wilson Amendment. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of